Oops.
Coincidence about that?
All right. It is Zman Simchasenu. It's a time of rejoicing. It's Sukkot. Chol Hamoed Sukkot, the intermediate days of the holiday of Sukkot. A time to rejoice. Not a time to deal with pain. The question is, how do you deal with pain? It seems to be inevitable to have pain. So how do you deal with pain? Some people numb themselves, right? They take a drink rather than a l'chaim, right? So how do you deal with pain?
Praying Hashem.
Huh?
Praying Hashem.
Praying to Hashem. Okay, excellent.
That's why there's all that pain.
Find the root cause of it.
If you have
Okay.
a toothache, for example, pain is a sign that you have a toothache. If you don't have the pain, you're not going to take care of the tooth.
Right.
Pain
So it's a
is
sign you got to
something-
fix something. Excellent, excellent. Pain is a sign you got to fix something in your life. Yeah. Well said. So, okay, it's a sign you got to look into something. Okay, excellent, excellent. Amazing. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich in Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We will do the 22nd letter of Tanya, the first part of it. And very powerful. We'll do the last few days. He begins with words, my beloved, my brethren and friends, out of my hidden love for you springs out an overt rebuke. He rebukes, come now and let us debate. Let's remember the days of old, consider the years of every generation. Has such a thing happened in the past? That people go when they have pain, when they need help in some area in life, mundane areas of life, that they go to the sages and ask them to help them, to advise them in mundane matters, matters of the physical world. You don't see that, he says, that you would get advice.
Okay.
Right? Even the greatest sages of the past, the Tanoim, that are men of the Mishnah, or the like Rabbi Akiva, and the like, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, or the men of the Talmud, called Amoraim. You don't see in the Talmud that people went to them to ask advice in mundane matters, says the Alter Rebbe. You do see only by actual prophets that they would be sought out for advice in material, mundane affairs. Like you see Shmuel Hanavi, Samuel the prophet, that King Saul's son came to him. Sorry, no. Before King Saul was king, Saul came to him to ask him advice of where his father's donkeys got lost. Where are they? So in prophetic vision, he knew to help him with his mundane matters. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but you don't see that people do this. Although they went to the Alter Rebbe, and this is what he's speaking about. And after he wrote this, they still went to him and asked him. And our Rebbe and all the Rebbeim, they were always asked not just in spiritual well-being, but in material well-being, advice and blessings. And he's questioning this. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want to bring out that even though he's questioning, he still did it before and after this letter. right? To help people in this area of life.
Is he saying that people should be?
Should not.
Or should not be?
Should not be asking. You don't see this in the Talmud that people went and did this. You saw it by a prophet. You saw it by a prophet, but you don't see it as going to a sage of Israel and asking them about mundane matters of life.
Only in business.
No,
I thought you said as far as money, profit.
no, nothing.
They don't-
Only in spiritual things you would ask. Right?
Mhm.
For the fact that it is that all matters that pertain to a person except the words of Torah and the fear of heaven, right? They can only be apprehended by prophecy. So, what are you coming to a sage for? Oh, okay, between me and you, because they're prophets. But they don't function that way. They function as sages, right? And in any case, everything is in the hands of God, except for the fear of God, except for doing right from wrong. That's our prerogative. That's our choice. We could choose the right thing to do. That's our choice. Everything else in the hands of God. So material things, right? Your livelihood, one's health, that's in the hands of God. As is known, 7 things are hidden. No one knows exactly how you're going to make your living. That's from heaven. When's Mashiach coming? All of these things, right? We do find in different places it speaks about sages being wise counselors and having wisdom and so on. So the Alter Rebbe says, yeah, but that's in areas of Torah teachings, not mundane matters, personal matters. That's what he says. So now he goes and explains, why do we seek when we are pained by something, whether it's physical pain, whether it's pain from livelihood that we're having a challenge? Why do we go after seeking blessings from the sages? Why do we, pervert or upset the natural order because out of the love that we have for our physical well-being? Even though he says that love is lishma, for the sake of heaven, because you need to have a healthy body, you need to have livelihood in order that you can serve God properly. So he understands that obviously you need these things, right? But why are people running around seeking blessings from the sages, right? When, sages are not there to do that, but they're there to give Torah advice, right? What the Torah's advice is and how to lead your life. That is what the sages are there for, right? Right? What are they trying to do? Rid themselves of the affliction.
Mhm.
Instead of recognizing that this is God who loves you, who's chastising you through the affliction.
Is it a sign of lack of emunah?
Well, yeah,
What is up with that?
yeah.
Is that also physical affliction?
Any kind of affliction, right, that we have,
Yes.
health, materially, like parnasa,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Other, human engagement issues that we have that are of mundane, right? So since God is giving you this and he's doing it out of love, the reason he's doing it is in order that we should deal with it. In other words, he says like this. In other words, what we try to do is mitigate, alleviate, lessen the pain. But he's saying the reason you're getting the pain is in order not to, camouflage it, but deal with the source of the pain. And what's the source of the pain? Is our lack. So he gives a metaphor. He gives a metaphor of a compassionate, wise, and righteous father who would give a little smack in the back, right? His behind, right? It's interesting. He says, he doesn't say a Hasidic father, because a Hasidic father wouldn't hit. But right, because he would go beyond the letter of the law. He wouldn't hit the child, even in the rear. But there is place, according to Torah, that you do give right, spare the rod, spoil the child, right? There is that concept, right? But anyway, this is a metaphor over here. God is giving you, who's God? The Father. He is a compassionate, wise, and righteous Father. That's the metaphor, right? And now he's giving a punishment to his son, right? What should a wise son do? Run away? Accept it,
Because it's
accept it, and accept it totally. Accept it totally, right? He wouldn't even say, oh, maybe I'll get, my father's advisor. Let me speak to him so he could intercede on my behalf, so I won't, that won't give me this punishment, right? No, a wise son won't do that. Rather, he'll look his father straight in the face, and he will bear everything that he gets from his father lovingly. So that's the metaphor. So likewise, whatever comes to us from heaven, we look at, right, that's coming from the face of God, meaning the inwardness of God. So he's doing that for our benefit. And when we know that he's doing it for our benefit, then we're able to accept it. He's doing it for our benefit, that we should improve ourselves. As opposed to a heathen. Well, a heathen, life of the body is more important and more valuable than life of a connection to God. And therefore, all they want is that their body should not be in any pain, shouldn't suffer any pain in their life. Right? That's not a Jewish way. That's coming because their vitality is coming from Sitra Acher, from the other side, from Klipa, from a negative source. And therefore, all they want, which is only a means to an end, all they want is things that are means to an end. And I just don't want to have the pain. I don't want to have the suffering, right? So not to accept the pain that you're suffering, right? This that you're coming from God in a loving way is turning your neck back on God. Well, very powerful. So then what do you do? Okay, how do you accept it? It says, as our sages say, when something painful comes, like you said, David, we have to fix what's broken, meaning we have to examine our conduct.
What about abusive?
We're talking about a metaphor over here of God.
But a father.
No, okay, go. What can we learn, Tanya?
Oh, no, okay.
Okay, well, let's learn Tanya. Let's
What this? Okay, I thought it was included, but
no. Let's learn what we're learning, and if afterwards, if we have the time, we can go off. But let's make sure we're learning the message, right? The message is not. There's no abusive father in heaven. Okay. There's no abusive father in heaven. Right.
Okay, thank you.
When we have the faith, Emuna inside Hashem, we are aligned with Him, and
This is showing how you're aligned. That if you have something that you're suffering, that you accept it lovingly, and which means you will now look inside of you on to fix what you need to fix.
Yeah, but there are less option to the pain to come inside our life, and when we are
Oh, well, let's finish. Well, then your good point that you're bringing, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Sorry, it's a question. I didn't say that like a question.
Right. Okay, but we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Okay. So, so it means to cleanse ourselves in a way, right? That we fix, we scour and whatever is dirty upon us, we cleanse. So it gives, and in that cleansing, this is amazing, another metaphor is imagine a great and awesome king, out of his immense love for his son, he changes his diaper. A king has a whole, array of servants and nannies and whatnot, and he doesn't need to do it, but he loves his son so much. The dirt, the soiled diaper, he takes care of. Right? He cleans it. Same thing God does for us. He, out of his love for us, that's why he rebukes us, brings us something that's painful, in order that we should own what we need to. And through owning what we need to and to work through what we need to, then God washes away the filth. He washes away that filth as a result.
Mhm.
So when we know that this is what's happening, then we should reflect back and our connection to God will be dearer than life itself. Than life itself. How precious is your loving kindness. Your kindness, God, is greater than life itself. Right? So the fact that God is being kind to me, that he's giving me out of love this pain, so I should deal with it. And then because I deal with it, he's washing away my filth, the king changing the diaper on the child, right? That's a true love, that when we, and kindness that God does for us, that as a result of that, right, as a result of that, when we do that things in that process, we will sweeten the severity, and that which was severe judgment above will come down as a result of this in a revealed goodness, what you mentioned, right? It'll come out as a revealed goodness, which is quite something, right?
Mhm.
That's called the sweetening of severities. Because why are you getting something that's punishing? Is because there's a judgment above. There's a judgment. And that judgment is leading to something that you need to deal with. There's a judgment, right? It's like a father sees his son and he's doing something wrong and he's making a judgment based on that. And because of that, he's curtailing something in his life. And a child's immature and they just cry because they want to have what they want to have. But if you're a wise child, then you'll realize it's for your benefit and you'll be okay with it. And what's your benefit? Because there's a lesson here I need to learn. I need to deal with something here in my life. And because I need to deal something with my life, that once I deal with it, God cleanses everything away. Imagine that. It's unbelievable. Cleanse in such a way that now what you've done is sweeten the severities, and God will bring manifest goodness because you have sweetened the judgment.
Mm.
And from that suffering will come something good out of it, sweet and good. Thereby, the expression of this divine severity will become nullified, even, he says, forever. That's pretty powerful. Just by having this, incorporating this into our life, which is not easy. Let us make that very clear. That's not an easy thing to live this way. This is the ultimate of not being a victim.
Okay.
Darren, do you have some pain Do we have the same pain we feel no matter what the status of life we have? Do we have the same pain we feel? I'm not certain, Darren, what you mean by that. If you could be more clear. Yeah, I hear Jolie. So getting back to what David was asking about, when a parent, it could be a father in particular, is not doing it from a good place, their frustration, their anger issues, and that's why they're doing what they're doing to their children. We're not talking about that. Yeah. Is that wrong? Absolutely. Right. Remember, we're using this as a metaphor to understand the ways of God.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not going to be in a corrupt way that a father or mother down here has, the choice, or sometimes they abdicate choice and they act in a way that is not fatherly, 100%. I was guilty. I'm guilty of that as raising children, as every parent is guilty of that. Almost every parent, right, is guilty of that. Some more, some less, whatever the case may be. It's right. But that's not where we're going with this,
I understand.
right? Just to make sure, yeah. Why did so many people seek the advice of the Rebbe instead of accepting it and accepting what they need to fix? So, listen, this is a very high level to live. And the Alter Rebbe is explaining this to us so we could live on a higher level and not ask about material things, but spiritual things, right?
Right.
But since we're not such a high level, that's why we ask. I think there's another explanation in our generation that's also that the ultimate and coming Mashiach has to come from below. To above from the material, right? We have to infuse the material. So, although this is a wonderful way and we should incorporate this as best as we can, no question. Yet at the same time, there's something about the material world that we need to transform. And therefore, today it's more important than ever to make an impact on the physical reality of this world, people within their physical reality of this world, and therefore it's important that we have the means and the ways in the material world so we can make greater impact. The previous generations, it wasn't as important. It's more personal evolvement, development, refinement. Today, it's more about the world out there. Why is God pushing us away from Him sometimes? That's the immature child, right? I just had wonderful 4 of our children coming from out of town with their spouses, with their children, and beautifully how they dealt with kids. A 3-year-old who's, a little bull in the china shop a bit sometimes. Yeah. Mother and father dealt so beautifully, but he cried when the toy was taken away from him. He just felt mommy is being, being mean. She wasn't. She was being loving. Total loving. Same thing as God. It's total loving. We're immature, so we cry.
The ideal we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, this is a very lofty level to strive for.